Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord, as well as the plan going into tomorrow. So this is what we looked like on the Friday contracts right after open. I went over yesterday that it was a funky close, and most likely the market's going to flip neutral, and that's exactly what happened. We ended up getting a pretty decent gap down last night. I think we opened like down 200 points on NQ, and we were neutral. So at the open, this is what we looked like. So if we flip to the puts, we opened at a very key spot on the puts right here. You can see right at 9:30 we're at this 50 SMA on the 30-minute, and you guys know if you trade the system, the 30-minute is a major pivot in the market. A lot of tops and bottoms get marked off of these pivots or off of these 50 SMAs, and the reason for that is because this chart tells us the trend. So most likely if that 50 breaks, we're going to go on cross and the trend gets flipped. But in this case, we ended up rejecting it, which kind of makes sense. I mean, we have FOMC coming up tomorrow. I really wouldn't expect us to get trend right before it. Usually we stay within a range, and these 50 SMAs mark some pivots. So we got those tops and bottoms to form. So right after open, again, I was not interested in taking this put cross. So if we look here at the open, the puts ended up crossing right after open with that gap down. So if we go to the puts, this is what we looked like. We got this massive candle here at 9:30. Got to pull back to the 10. It went lower, but this is not a trade I'm taking because on that 30-minute chart, we're sitting at a very key pivot. So the best trade to look for in this scenario is wait for this chart to go negative. So once we get that negative cross, that pretty much confirms that, okay, we're going to get that rejection at the 50 and we're going to head higher. And this was a trade I did take, and I did get stopped at break even on it. And there's a reason why I did go break even. I'll go over it in a second, but this is what we looked like down in here. We ended up going negative. I'll show you guys the exact entry that I took on this because I did post it in the Discord. So if we go here, this was the exact screenshot of when I went long, and the trade did run like 40 points. I was up 40 points, I think, at one point. I was looking for the 50 ball like usual. That's what I always shoot for, 50 points, the minimum, unless we're super choppy, and the action was not really choppy off of open. So we did chop a little bit down here, but I was expecting this just to catch up with the SMAs, and then once we have that negative cross, we're going to go higher and get a good move. But it ended up going like 50 to 60 points, but I did stop break even on it. So this is my entry right here, and then we ended up getting break even right around, let's see what time I stopped out at, 11:05 is when so like 10 minutes after this cross, we ended up popping back up or somewhere. I don't know, you can't really see it on the premiums. I think was NQ a lot weaker than ES, I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, the reason behind the stop out was, one, we're neutral, and two, when we go here on the Friday contracts, this is the only time you go on the 5-minute on these, but this is what we looked like. So we really weren't sitting right at the 50 SMA. So yeah, I got stopped out on this little pop up in here. That's where I ended up stopping out at. Like 11:05 was the stop out, and we were not right at the 50 SMA right here, because usually with the negative crosses, you want to wait for the 5-minute on the Fridays to go negative when we're in a scenario like we were today. So if we pull up into that 50-minute SMA on the 30-minute, and we reject off of it, and then this chart goes down on the 5-minute 50, you want to see this chart to go negative before you take the negative cross on the 0-day chart, if that makes sense. So this is something I recently started to do because Colton does take this. It was something I never took or never looked for, and it's something that I'm incorporating. So yeah, it kind of strayed me away from taking the trade or holding it. But yeah, we ended up coming down. Obviously, we weren't even near the 50, but at this rate, the 50 sloped up, and the candles are getting tight right here. And if it does want to come down and come back to my entry, I'm just going to take the risk off the table, and that was that. So I could have held it really because the trade was still valid. That was just what I was doing for my risk today, day before FOMC. I'm not looking for anything crazy, and if I'm up like 40 points, I'm moving my stop loss to break even from there. I don't want that to go red. So it was still a valid trade to hold if you did. It was just something that I did not want to do, and yeah, I mean, you can see once we came down to that 5-minute, we ended up bouncing off of the 50. You don't buy these 50 dips or anything. The only trades you look for off of this chart is a negative cross, and you only do that when we hit the 50 SMA. So like we hit the 50 SMA from here, and okay, from there you want to see that 5-minute to go negative to confirm the rejection, which eventually it did, but that was at like the close. So you can see we end up coming down to 50, bouncing, and then there was no negative cross until later on in the day. So yeah, that's something that I do look at now. Wasn't something I always did. It's probably something new maybe if you guys are watching, if you're relatively new, or not new, but like relatively new to the system. You probably don't see this type of trade on the channel too much. So yeah, that is the only trade I took today, because if we go here on the 0-day chart, you can see there was no opportunity the rest of the day. So if you look here on the put side, you can see we just ended up chopping around the whole day, so there was no big moves, and that's a great thing with the system, because when there's no moves, that means there's no crosses usually. So we did get this negative cross, which gave some sort of bounce. It did go like 40 points, like I said. I got stopped at break even, but then from there, action was just very choppy, and that was because there was no crosses. There was no good moves today because we did not get a 0-day cross, and that's a great thing about the system. When there's going to be a move, most likely. When we get those crosses, and you can see on the call side there was nothing as well. No crosses, no good moves today. So that's how you would play today going into tomorrow. This is what we look like. We pull up the Friday contracts, 30-minute chart. You can see the calls obviously are negative, and then the puts did start to get a cross going. But at this rate, like, this is not the 50 still down, so still a neutral market, and I'm pretty sure futures are ripping, so that's probably going to end up going negative tomorrow, and we're going to be neutral right before FOMC. So nothing crazy. Could have guessed that, honestly, going into tomorrow. We got FOMC, and this chart is on the verge of crossing. Most likely get a gap up, which is probably going to happen tomorrow, and this chart's going to go negative, and we're going to see a neutral market going into FOMC. So really the only thing I'm going to be looking for tomorrow, it's probably going to be a call cross, unless that whole move gets reversed overnight. Other than that, if the market does flip bearish, obviously the focus will be on the shorts. Look for a 0-day cross on puts, 50 dip on puts, and yeah, it's a simple game plan. I'd imagine we're going to be neutral, like I said. So, make 50 points, move on the next day, and that'll be that. So, yeah, that's what we did today. That's the game plan for tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, watch all the videos on the YouTube. Got plenty of information on how I trade these charts. If you guys want more, detailed, step by step, the trades throughout the day, or what I'm gonna be looking for, join the Discord down below. There's a free section, paid section. Paid section obviously includes a lot more information on the system. We got tons of recordings of streams of the system, how you trade it, and also give out the trades throughout the day. And there's also a section that goes over all the trades from for like a whole year Colton did. So yeah, a ton of value in there if you guys want to learn. Like I said, this place to be. But that's all I got. Drop a sub if you're new. I'm out. Peace.